Of Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 10, episode number 8. Now, there's a bunch of reasons why I'm coming to you live, but let me just tell y'all what happened. So, I was trying to go live yesterday. I don't think anybody noticed or realized because my schedule had kind of changed. And, just because my schedule has changed doesn't mean that I get to, slack off on my New Year's goals of being more consistent and more on time with my videos. So, yesterday, I recorded a video. I wasn't able to go live because the connection was bad. But I was recording a video to be posted immediately to YouTube. And I recorded this awesome video and it was super great, of my review of Real Housewives. And when I completed the review, my phone memory was so full that it didn't save the video. And I was just so mad because I had to work that day and I didn't have time to re-record it. So this is the first opportunity that I have to give you guys the review. I'm trying to be more consistent and I apologize because I feel like this review is a day late and kind of $1 short. But anyways, hopefully you guys who haven't abandoned me enjoy this video because I have a lot to talk about regarding this episode. It was rather entertaining and I'm happy, that they're back in 2018. So let's get started. We'll talk about Kenya and this domestic violence PSA. We all know that Kenya has some version of experience when it comes to producing videos and whatnot. We'll, neglect the quality of those videos. So we'll just, move on. But anyways, Kenya, apparently when she was 16 years old, dated a man who was 27, who was so violent towards her that he almost killed her by stabbing her, which is a traumatic experience, especially for like a 16-year-old girl. And later on, we'll talk about the experiences of the other women who talked about, their encounters with domestic violence. But anyways, Sheree needs to stop with the blonde wigs, and she shows up. And Sheree wants a more prominent role in the production of the video, but not as an intern. She said multiple times she didn't want to be no intern. But anyways, Sheree blames Kenya for her having to tell her story about domestic violence when she really should be blaming Bob. I mean, Kenya hinted that Sheree had been hit on before, but Bob was the one who actually made her confirm it on live television by asking, "Did I ever hit you?" And I must not have hit you hard enough. So I don't know why she's blaming Kenya for that because Bob is the one who, actually, brought that to light. But whatever. Sheree feels like she's being left out of the big decisions. And, apparently she's now just so passionate about this cause. And I'm trying to figure out, where did this passion come from? Because, just a little while ago, you couldn't even tell your kids about this domestic violence situation. So, and the only reason that we know that you were abused by Bob was because it was kind of forced out and you never told anybody about it. So I'm glad that she's passionate now, but I feel like it's odd that she goes from never speaking about it to being so passionate. But, whatever. Anyways, Sheree says she's on board, and she says that she wants the production experience. We know that ain't gonna happen by the episode, but whatever. I guess she wants something else to put on her resume besides completing Chateau Sheree. So moving on, we'll talk about Nene. Marlo comes over to Nene's house, and somehow she and Marlo are inseparable now that they have reconnected. So whatever. I'm with Nene when she says that she doesn't understand Marlo's obsession with reconnecting Portia and Nene after they fell out. I don't see what Marlo has to gain from this, except that Marlo is going to play, the Sheree role of getting people together to create mess. She says that it's in, the spirits of reconciliation, but unfortunately, because it's Marlo and, because it's, like Sheree, is to create mess. And I think Marlo is trying to kind of solidify herself on the show and, trying to get a peach, So anyways, we'll talk about Cynthia. So Cynthia really likes Will, and he seems like a really nice guy. We all got, the side eye on him still, but he seems like a really nice guy. And we see Noelle and Cynthia, and the whole scene was just super cute. It was so cute to see, how Cynthia kind of lit up when Will was on the phone, and then Noelle was, teasing her mom about having a boyfriend. Like, it was just very a fun loving like scene. I really enjoyed it. And so Cynthia is kind of resenting that she's not going to get to live out her hoe phase, because one of the first guys that she dates after her divorce is a guy that may be worth keeping. But whatever, you don't have to live out your hoe phase if you, find a guy that you like. You don't want to lose him over trying to, sow your rhoa oats. But anyways, Cynthia during this time gets an invitation from Marlo to this messy tea party. So, did y'all see that promo that Cynthia and Kenya did for Proud Mary? Okay, so I don't want to talk about Proud Mary. Sorry, y'all, something weird just happened. I don't want to talk about Proud Mary too much, but y'all, I'm not that interested in seeing Proud Mary. So here's the deal. I like Taraji P. Henson. I think she's a great actress, but I do not believe that she is the right person for this role. I mean, not that I've seen the movie, not that I even really know what the movie is about, but her being the action-packed, gun-toting, whatever, it just puts me in the mind of a blaxploitation film. That's number one. And then on top of that, I feel like the role is just not right for her, that they needed to find somebody else. But anyways, the promo was fine. It was interesting. But whatever, what y'all think? Moving on, this ain't about Proud Mary. So next we'll talk about Portia. Her and Ricky Smiley have this little sexual tension going on, and they know each other's perfumes and colognes and what color bottles they come out of. And if I know any better, I would say that they've dived into, some sexual relations. But we ain't gonna get into that. Now, I know I've said before that I am okay with and kind of advocate for Portia not returning to the show. And so the deal is, if she and Ricky Smiley were to get into a relationship, I would be okay with seeing her on the show next season. So that would be cool with me. I also watch Ricky Smiley's reality show. So if Portia does not return for Real Housewives of Atlanta, I would like to see Portia on Ricky Smiley's show and see how their relationship goes. I feel like it would be really interesting, even though I think Ricky Smiley is not cute. I feel like comedians, it's very hard to find a comedian who is cute and funny. So I think that unless you're Bill Bellamy, if you marry a comedian, you really love him. Okay. Anyways, so next, I guess we'll talk about this messy tea party. And so during the tea party, we see that Portia and Marlo are hanging out now. I'm under the impression that they both need somebody to film with. So that's the only reason why they're hanging out. But anyways, Cynthia is the first person to arrive. Marlo has a really nice house. She has a really nice spread. It's kind of extravagant for just 4 women, but it wouldn't be Marlo if it wasn't extravagant, right? And so now apparently Cynthia is titty cent instead of 50 cent because we keep seeing her nipples. So y'all remember we saw them on that boat in Anguilla when Kenya was driving like a crazy woman. We saw it again when Portia yanked Kenya off that couch and dragged her across the floor. And so we saw it again today. We saw it when she went to get them checked up last season when she invited all the girls to her booby consultation. So yeah, we're always seeing them. But anyways, the tea is vodka and cranberry, which is kind of funny. But so Marlo brings up the whole reason for the tea party, and Marlo is saying, in San Francisco, things just were not right between you guys, and I brought you two here to kind of talk about it. So it seemed like both of them kind of went into it, both Nene and Portia went into it kind of open-minded. Now, I'll give Nene some credit because I thought when Marlo even brought up the idea to Nene about having that tea party, Nene was not here for it. But her attitude was more positive at Marlo's house than I would have expected. Now, Portia, I felt like she was open-minded, but her wording and the way she was talking was not made Nene mad. So anyways, we'll get into that. Okay, so Cynthia says that if Cynthia and Nene and Marlo and Nene can get back together after all the years of having disagreements, that whatever Portia and Nene are going through is petty. And so here's the deal. The biggest issue in their relationship is that it's lopsided. So Cynthia was there for and supported Portia through her divorce, through the issue with Portia losing her peach because she dragged Kenya across the stage. Nene was there for Portia. And Nene says that once Portia was, free and clear and done with the divorce and done with the drama of dragging Kenya across the stage and got her peach back, that she didn't have time for Nene. And as I said before, I will say it again, Portia is selfish. Portia is selfish. Portia is the type of person who easily has her hand out to receive things from other people, and people willingly give things to Portia because she's pretty and seems defenseless and things like that. But she does not know how to reciprocate those things. And her version of reciprocating those things are sending out a tweet to have people support Nene, or going up to New York to watch her perform in Cinderella on Broadway. And for Nene, it just doesn't work like that. For Nene, you don't answer my calls, but I'm there for you when you almost get fired off of this show. So in Nene's defense, I truly do understand what she is saying, because we have all been in lopsided friendships where one person cares more or is more supportive of the other. And Nene, to be fair, yeah, I'm really going up for Nene right now, and it's real weird because Nene usually is really extra or whatever. But I totally understood what she was talking about this time. Portia, however, on the other hand, feels like she's done enough to support Nene, which I don't even think it's true, and definitely isn't true in Nene's eyes. But they get to the point, they don't get to the point where they're yelling or screaming or anything, but they do get to the point where they realize that their friendship for right now is kind of over. And Nene gets, a little sarcastic, and she's like, I'm sorry for however you felt or whatever. And Portia is realizing that, Nene just doesn't care right now. Now, if we know anything about the relationships that Nene gets in and out of, we know that Nene and Portia will be back friends within 2 to 5 years. So they just got to wait it out, That's all they got to do. Marlo said, you guys are the worst guests and you're never coming back over here. So I thought that was pretty funny. But moving on, we'll talk about Sheree. So Candy comes over to Sheree's house, and Sheree complains about not having a bigger role in the planning and the production of the domestic violence PSA. She says, I haven't heard anything about Kenya after expressing that I want to be more involved. But it's like common sense would tell you that if you requested a bigger role and she hasn't contacted you, that you would contact her. See, Sheree is not a hustler or a go-getter unless there are people there watching and waiting to ridicule her, aka Chateau Sheree. But anyways, she's upset about that. Candy carries this tiny little bone from San Francisco and lets Sheree know that Nene called Tyrone, Sheree's new prison bae, a con artist. And Sheree is offended. And I'm like, didn't he get arrested for conning people? Like, he got arrested and put into prison for conning people. He conned people, got caught. There was evidence of him getting caught, and he was sentenced to prison for several years for doing that. He's a con artist. Nene didn't say anything that was incorrect, but Sheree just found it all, offensive that someone who has a mugshot along with her husband would say something about Tyrone being a con artist. Now, I feel like I knew that Nene had run into some problems with the law, but I didn't know about Greg. And so the issue that I'm having with this is that she didn't need to bring up other people's dirt to combat the things that people were saying that are true about her prison bae. That just didn't make sense to me. But whatever. Moving on, Sheree. Sheree also said that Tyrone's not coming home to Chateau Sheree. Candy was like, you don't need to be stupid. And so, here's the deal. I feel like Sheree definitely don't need to be dating Prison Bae. Because the thing about people who con corporations is that it's easy to con an individual. If you can con a corporation or a business out of securities and stuff, you can definitely con a Sheree Whitfield, okay? So, the dude will be fresh out of jail with nothing. And one of the things that I think is that Sheree is opposite day for Sheree. So she dated a baller who was well known, very popular, very famous, and her life was miserable with him. He hit on her and he was just a bad person, and when they got divorced, he didn't want to pay child support. It was just a bad experience. So she's going all the way down, to the opposite. You got a dude who's in jail. He ain't got nothing. I don't have to rely on him the way I relied on Bob. He can rely on me. And it's like, you can't do, you can't go from one extreme to the other. Sheree needs somebody who is on her level, which shouldn't be super hard because Sheree's not like a top level type of person. She's like in the middle. So like you find somebody in the middle with you and y'all can be in the middle together. You don't need to find somebody who's way up here making all the money, you relying on them, or way down here, they fresh out of prison, they ain't got no opportunities coming their way because they, white collar criminals. Do you see what I'm saying? Anyways, moving on. We'll talk about Candy and the old lady gang. So, let me tell y'all something. Don't go into business with family. Don't go into business with family. Don't go into business with family. I'm going to say it again and again and again. And I'm going to say it as often as OLG comes up in the shows. Do not go into business with family. There are so many issues with family businesses. One of the issues is that when you have the roles within the business and the roles in your relationship with that person get crossed. If I am your manager, I am not your sister right now. Or if I am your supervisor, I am not your daughter right now. Like the lines of that really get crossed. You make allowances for your family that you wouldn't make for other employees, and then the employees that are not your family feel like you're giving special treatment because they're family. And then in an instance like this, I was confused because the old lady gang is the face of the company, and I'm sure that they have a stake in the company, but are they supposed to be silent partners? So, like, whatever percentage that, the actual old ladies of the old lady gang have, are they supposed to have actual input into the daily operations of the business? Because the issue that I have is that none of them, Todd, Candy, or the OLG, well, no. Todd and Candy, the main people who are running OLG, do not have restaurant experience. According to Candy, two of her aunts have had restaurant experience, so that's cool or whatever. But they hired somebody who had a restaurant experience to manage the restaurant, and he is no longer there. Now, I'm under the impression that he left, and I'm going to tell you why it was a good decision for him to leave. Because if you have the OLG coming into the restaurant making demands about the daily operations, and you have Candy making demands about the daily operations because she is concerned about a return on her investment, and you have Todd doing the same thing, there's no way I would be able to operate under 5 supervisors who, or 5 owners who are each trying to pull me in a different direction, telling me to get rid of the hostess, telling me to do this, change this, make this person do this, make these people pull their pants up, tell them not to wear earrings in the kitchen, whatever. There's no way I would be able to operate with 5 different owners possibly telling me 5 different things. So, yeah, long story short, the old lady gang is facing some adversity right now. They haven't really gotten into the groove because none of them have the appropriate restaurant experience, and there are literally too many cooks in the kitchen. There's just too many people trying to pull the restaurant in different directions. They need one general manager that answers to one person, either Candy or Todd, so that all of the messages don't get scrambled between 5 different people. So, anyways, Later on, we see that they have an interview with a guy who looks like a representative from the Nation of Islam, but you know, with his little bow tie or whatever. But anyways, he interviewed really well. Y'all take some lessons from this dude who's interviewing. He did research on the restaurant and was like 70% of your reviews are 3 stars or less. And Candy acknowledged that it really sucks that they're not getting the positive feedback that they thought they would be getting. And here's the deal with that. I feel like a restaurant was not in their wheelhouse. Just because your mom and your aunt can cook does not mean that you can successfully run a restaurant. Because it's not just about the food. It's about the service. And if I have to wait 45 minutes to get mediocre servings of okay food, then I'm not going to give you a good review. And the fact that you're a celebrity puts a little bit more pressure on it. I mean, the celebrity power is only going to get people to come to the place once, because, you know, there's the off chance that Candy might be there and I can meet a celebrity. But the food and the service is what keeps people coming back, and that's something that they haven't been able to master without the appropriate management. But anyways, I think that he could be a good candidate. And for once, I agree with Don Juan. Like, the dude has experience. He interviewed real well. But the question is, can he deal with the old lady gang? And that's the problem that I have. If the old lady gang is putting too much pressure on general managers, then they need to take a back seat and have like a lower role in the say of what goes on in the restaurant. I know their faces are on it, but it's improbable to have somebody run a restaurant for you when all you do is complain and nitpick and there's 5 people telling you what to do. Hopefully all that makes sense. We'll get off of that and finish this review up talking about the actual filming of the PSA for domestic violence. So first off, we see Shamia telling her story, and she says her ex-husband literally knocked her out of her shoes. He was very jealous, and it was difficult to hear. But I enjoy hearing stories about domestic violence, and I feel like that's very weird to say. But the reason I will say that is because I love to see the way people have overcome those situations and have learned to move on and have learned to move forward. And, you know, we all love a story with a good ending. And so I feel like it's very important so that people who are currently in, you know, domestic violence situations have the courage to really, you know, get out of them. So moving on, I'm down for the cause. All the ladies are putting their star power together to make things come together. Nene tells her story in her confessional that she had a baby with the guy who had abused her. And I guess he's the father of her oldest child. Is it Brent? I can't remember the oldest kid's name. But anyways, now in the PSA, one of them gave a statistic that 1 in 4 women will be abused by a domestic partner or something like that. Now let me tell you something. They gave the statistics of 1 in 4, but there are about 10 women who helped out with this PSA, and 5 of them have been abused. There's Shamia, there's Cynthia's mama, there's Nene, there's Kenya, and then Sheree. So that's half. So I'm under the impression that 1 in 4 statistic is actually kind of low. But, you know, that's not for me to say. I'm not a statistician. But anyways, Sheree apparently has a car accident and hurts her back and arrives late. And it was so weird, like Sheree's back was hurt, but everybody was hugging her and patting her on the back and stuff. And it's like, don't be hugging the girl. She is in pain and she's barely here. She barely arrived on time, which, you know, we knew she wasn't going to be on time, but the fact that she had an accident, I'm not going to be hard on her. So anyways, Cynthia's mama's story was real heartbreaking. Cynthia's mama says she had 3 children, which I did not know. I only knew about Cynthia and Mallory, but whatever. And so Cynthia's mama says it took everything in her not to kill her husband that was abusing her. And it was so heartbreaking. I cried. Okay, y'all, I'm not gonna lie. But I cry pretty easily at stuff. So don't use me as a barometer. But anyways, so the mama Cynthia was trying to go over and comfort her, and Kenya stopped her, and it was just a beautiful moment. And yo, that's it for this episode. I enjoyed the episode. I'm happy that they're back in 2018. I'm happy that I can do this review for you guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And hopefully next time I can get it out sooner. It's just there was a really big mix-up, and I hate that my first review wasn't able to be posted because there was too many, my storage was too full on my phone. I so hate that because I feel like that review was so much better than this one. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell your mom, tell your dad, tell whoever you think would like this video. I have a lot of new stuff coming out. I also am going to do a video on starting my book club. So if anybody's interested in joining that, be on the lookout for that video. Peace out, home slices.